What I want to do, what both of us want to do now, is to take you through our journey into the medical tattooing sector. Our company, Finishing Touches, started in 1996, and we started primarily as a semi-permanent makeup company, just doing procedures. Obviously in 1996 it was relatively new within the UK. We started training because lots of people kept asking us for it in the cosmetic industry. And we now have gone on to develop a huge medical tattooing network both in the UK and across Europe and into several other countries now. We're absolutely delighted to be Miriam partners and delighted to be given the opportunity to work with so many different people, and very much love sharing ideas and hearing other people's ideas as well. We've trained hundreds and hundreds of hospital staff now. Our goal in setting out the medical tattooing sector wasn't just about doing procedures ourselves and getting procedures into our clinic. Dawn and I actually just run a very exclusive clinic in our head office. We're primarily a training and product supply company. What we actually wanted to do was to really educate the UK initially about medical tattooing. As Mario said, people don't know now about permanent cosmetics, and they know even less about the possibilities of medical tattooing. We have got a machine which has got Class 2A certificate, which means it can be used in a medical setting, but I'll go more into that later. If I let you know where we're at now, we have a wonderful team of people that we work with. We have a very passionate and informed office team behind us, most of which will make themselves known to you over some point this weekend. They're usually quite loud. We also have a team of demonstrators that we've educated to go out into hospitals and to show best use of equipment and pigments. And we have our amazing training team. Kelly and Dawn and Ruth and Susie are with us today, and Gail will be with us tomorrow as well. But we have a really, really great team of trainers. So far we have literally travelled to very many distant corners. This year alone we've trained surgeons and nurses in hospitals and clinics in Ireland, Scotland, the US, Greece, Portugal, Cyprus, Denmark, Iceland, Belgium, and the most unlikeliest was, is this a red spot bit here? Is the picture down the bottom is the Faroe Islands, where poor Taryn took 2 days to reach this lovely clinic, but it's the most unlikeliest setting for a medical tattoo clinic. We also hold lectures at the Royal College of Surgeons in London, and they're always full to capacity. And we're invited to speak at by many different medical bodies and societies, including anapathologists, breast specialists, reconstruction surgeons, to name just a few. So how did we get here? It has definitely been a long slog. It started off, our company was just the 3 of us. As we started our medical tattoo journey, there was myself and Dawn and Emma in the office. And we were really working on cosmetic and had a vision of going into medical. We didn't really know where to start, but we weren't satisfied that we had the tools to be able to do some really great things, but nobody knew about us. So we went to go to see surgeons, and we started knocking on surgeons' doors, and really we had no credibility at all. The surgeons really didn't want us to waste their time. They told us not to go near their patient, and really they just thought that we were silly makeup girls and that we had no place in a medical setting at all. So we went about changing that, and we broke down about how we could do that. We've always prided ourselves on our standards, and we always made sure that we were doing the very best that we could possibly do. We realised that actually our skills weren't up to scratch, and so we set about finding someone or anybody that could teach us more, and this is the days before the internet, and it was really difficult. I think we all take Google so much for granted nowadays. So it was really difficult to get in contact with like-minded people, or people that had really pressed the boundaries of medical tattooing. We went over to the States and we got a bit of training, but we realised that actually there was so much more that could be done with that. So we decided to break it down, and first of all, we rebranded. We wanted to neutralise our makeup image. We couldn't be taken seriously in a surgical setting or in a medical setting with our kind of fluffy pink makeup literature. And we had this is our old logo that's on the screen now. So we decided to rebrand it because despite probably the predominantly female clientele that surgeons were dealing with, it was a very male-orientated, and still is a very male-orientated sector, so we needed to make our logo slightly more masculine to appeal to them. We also looked at our, this is where we also started the process of getting our machine to be a Class 2A medical machine, which means that Class 2A means that it can be taken into surgery, which some surgeons prefer to do and others don't take it anywhere near their surgery. But it did give us credibility, and it meant that we could compete on an even playing field with the only other medical tattooing machine that was out there was registered as a medical device, so we needed to follow suit as well. We developed our own line of areola and pigment colours, areola and camo colours. We developed literature that was specifically targeted at surgeons. We wrote training protocols for nurses because you can't step foot into anything within the National Health Service in the UK without there being a protocol for a protocol for a protocol. We wrote training protocols for the trainers in the hospital. We learned the really tedious job of talking to health and safety people and explaining just exactly why our plugs didn't have a green sticker and not a yellow sticker and not a red sticker. And we also learned how to talk to the engineering departments as well. This was really brought to light by one visit where Dawn had arranged to meet a surgeon who wanted to use the machine at surgery, breast surgery in the afternoon. And the electrical department actually called security and barred her from entering the hospital with the machine because it hadn't been checked over. And the surgeon was so incensed that he made her go through the kitchen and sent one of his nurses out. It was like a real James Bond moment as the nurse was spotting in the corridor to see if there was anyone from the electrical department there. And eventually we made it into the surgery and she was able to do the demonstration and operating theatre. And then he became one of our trustees on our board. We also started to attend lots of the annual meetings. Nurses and surgeons in the UK, and I'm guessing throughout Europe and internationally, have to go to meetings every year, where it's a kind of peer group review and also sharing information and ideas. And we started to take tables there to be able to show our machine and to talk about what we were doing. And we arrived very smartly dressed and ready to do battle and really sell ourselves, and nobody came to talk to us. Nobody was interested at all in what we were doing, and we sat there all alone, dressed up with our machine in front of us, and there was nothing. And that's then that we discovered that actually all the true work gets done in the bar. So unfortunately, we had to start to drink champagne only for business sake. That's all it was, just for the purposes of business. We also needed to come up with something that was credible to show surgeons, because it's all well and good saying about the things that you can do for their patients without having any actual evidence of what you're able to do. So we set about building up our credibility and trying to gain the trust. Everybody wants to see real pictures and real results. So we began holding medical tattoo clinics, and we saw lots and lots and lots of willing volunteers who allowed us to practice, really, and improve and photograph. And we have never ever charged a single one of our models for medical tattooing, and we never will charge any of our models for medical tattooing. We have seen hundreds and hundreds of people. We've helped hundreds of people over the 8 or so years that we've been running medical tattooing classes, and we'll continue to treat them for free for as long as they need that. Of course, what that gives us is a really amazing portfolio of people that we've worked with and incredible results that we've been able to demonstrate and to then pass on to surgeons. Keep clicking it a little bit. We also, mainly what we did, and most importantly, was to make the mental lead. We all have clients who are overjoyed with their makeup and the difference that we make. And Hugo spoke really eloquently and beautifully at the beginning of the day with the difference that that makes. With medical tattooing, you're dealing in dignity, and often you're dealing in closure to either a very long traumatic journey for somebody, or to a journey that they're going to have for the rest of their lives, but you're able to do something to help. We decided that we would educate nurses and doctors as to the importance of this. Often they're not given the opportunity to really complete their job. And we realised very quickly that we were the tattoo ladies, that we don't fix broken bones, we can't take away disease, we just tattoo, but we do make people feel great about themselves. We also learned the power of patient choice, and we started to educate the patients that would use these services. We linked up with cancer organisations, and we still do. I think we've still got a massive task ahead of us to actually bring medical tattooing to the forefront. We sponsored events. This is an event that was sponsored in London this year by 2 photographers who who put together an exhibition on alopecia and surviving breast cancer. And often hospitals that we work with fundraise to be able to buy their machine. And because we attend meetings and people have seen us and have met us and have seen our machinery, there's a huge amount of word-of-mouth marketing that goes on for both our services and our products and our training. The success of where we are and how far we've come since we started to work within clinics and hospitals, we felt was shown by this recent audit that was carried out by an oncoplastic surgeon that we work with. And he did an audit on his patients. It's very often you're really battling with the surgeons to prove the value of the work that you can do for them. And his recent audit, they asked the question, nipple tattooing has improved the way I feel about my reconstruction. 77% strongly agreed and 18.9% agreed, but nobody disagreed. Now, in a surgeon and nurse's eyes, that is an extremely positive outcome for their surgery and for their patient. So when you're out there and taking medical tattooing forward, you really need to remember that you're not just out there selling a tattoo, you're out there, you're selling an aesthetic, a psychological benefit, a sociological benefit, but most importantly, you have the talent and the ability to put colour back into people's lives.